assistant to Sean Diddy Combs speaking out in the new interview with new allegations about wild parties and drug use.
I'm sorry, I'm just I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck during those years. You're still stuck 21 years.
One of hip-hop's most untouchable icons has just flipped the script, and the names he's reportedly giving the FBI could destroy careers, drain fortunes, and shatter reputations overnight. According to insiders tied to the federal investigation into Sean Diddy Combs, Snoop Dogg is no longer watching from the sidelines. He's now a cooperating insider, a man who was once part of the inner circle, who saw the wild parties, heard the whispers, and witnessed the manipulation firsthand. And it seems he's finally ready to tell investigators how deep the rabbit hole really goes. This case isn't just about Diddy's 50-month sentence for transporting individuals for illicit activities. It's about a hidden network that has quietly shaped the entertainment industry for years, and the one man willing to bring it all to light. By the time Diddy was transferred to FCI Fort Dix in New Jersey in late October 2025, the investigation had already spilled beyond the music world. Court filings described a world of coercion, illegal substances, and exploitation disguised as luxury. But the real shock came when a sealed affidavit leaked, naming Snoop Dogg as a cooperating witness. For years, he laughed off talk about those infamous Hamptons parties. Now, insiders claim he's turned over guest lists, money trails, and private footage that could tie some of the most powerful figures in music and politics to the empire Diddy built in secret.
So I consider my rap as a conversation more or less than a rap, because if you take the music off and just listen to my words, it's like I'm conversating with you rather than screaming and hollering.
To grasp the weight of what's unfolding, we have to rewind their story. In the early 90s, Snoop and Diddy stood on opposite sides of one of hip-hop's deadliest divides, the East Coast versus West Coast war. On one end was Diddy's Bad Boy Records, and on the other, Suge Knight's Death Row with Snoop as his crown jewel. Their feud wasn't just personal, it was cultural, shaping the entire identity of American hip-hop. But time has a way of rewriting history. By the mid-2000s, Snoop was a regular face at Diddy's iconic white parties, extravagant Hamptons gatherings where stars like Paris Hilton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jay-Z, and even political elites mingled under the illusion of unity, dressed head to toe in white. Snoop played the peacemaker, bridging old rivalries and smiling for cameras. Yet behind the glamour, former assistants now claim those events were something else entirely. Recruitment grounds for Diddy's secret world. The hypocrisy hits hardest now. Publicly, those nights were branded as elite celebrations of power and success. Privately, witnesses describe corridors lined with security, rooms where phones were confiscated, and staff ordered to look the other way. The silence shattered when Cassie Ventura filed her 2023 lawsuit accusing Diddy of years of control and forced participation in what prosecutors later dubbed freak-offs. That term became the dark symbol of Diddy's hidden empire. Private performances fueled by substances and surveillance. And when CNN released the 2016 footage showing Diddy attacking Cassie in a Los Angeles hotel hallway, it wasn't just the public left in shock. Insiders say that moment silenced Snoop for nearly a decade. He'd seen similar horrors, and for the first time, he understood that the system shielding Diddy could shield no one.
Court has just ended, and I'm just getting word right now that we are hearing that Kid Cudi, who is going to be an important witness in this case, that he possibly is going to take the stand tomorrow. So that's going to be interesting testimony, because this is a situation in which Sean Combs had said that he was jealous and accusing Cassie Ventura of cheating on him with Kid.
Then came the explosion, literally in December 2011. Cassie had just broken things off with Diddy and started seeing Kid Cudi. Only days later, Cudi's car went up in flames in his own driveway. Years afterward, he confirmed what many suspected, calling it a message. Investigators now view that act as part of a broader pattern, a system of fear and intimidation used to keep people under control. That same pattern reportedly stretched to business partners, stylists, and even artists signed under Diddy's label. Yet through all of it, Snoop stayed silent. Until now. Sources tied to the probe claim federal agents reached out to him as early as 2022 while he was finalizing his Death Row Records acquisition. They believe Snoop knew exactly how the operation functioned, not as a street-level hustle, but as a calculated network. Assistants coordinating travel, staff managing substances, and executives laundering images through charity fronts.
I thought he was this clean businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and, smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, like, this guy has an addiction. It's not just once every few weeks. It's every day, every hour.
The turning point came in 2024 when Christina Kuram, Diddy's former chief of staff, testified that a pink tinted powder was regularly distributed at his parties to keep guests calm and compliant. She claimed she was personally instructed to source it for both Diddy and his celebrity guests. Her testimony reportedly sent shockwaves through the industry, silencing those who once dismissed the rumors. Because this time, it wasn't gossip, it was logistics. When investigators traced the records, they allegedly discovered Snoop's name among the guest lists for several events now under federal scrutiny. According to multiple sources, his cooperation began shortly after, through an attorney-negotiated deal that offered leniency in unrelated financial matters. But Snoop's connection went far beyond attendance. He'd shared stages, contracts, and ventures with Diddy, and insiders say he had direct access to the guest manifests and surveillance contracts that kept those parties under tight control. What once appeared as luxury and lifestyle now looks more like a carefully managed system, one designed to test, record, and in some cases compromise its attendees. While the full list of celebrities named in the sealed affidavit remains unconfirmed, the pattern forming is hard to ignore. The network under federal watch didn't stop with Diddy. It stretched deep into music labels, streaming giants, and entertainment power players who all had something to gain from his silence.
She saw no way out other than doing what he told her to do. He had mentally controlled her. It's like a pimp. Diddy had pimp potential. He had her mind messed up where it controlled her.
The implications are staggering. Usher, once seen as Diddy's protege, was named in court testimony describing a violent assault on Cassie at a public restaurant back in 2010. Witness Dawn Richard told jurors she saw Diddy strike Ventura while several high-profile guests, including Usher, looked on in silence. No one intervened, she testified. Meanwhile, Young Miami, who dated Diddy between 2021 and 2023, is now facing renewed scrutiny over her connection to the case. Though she publicly denied any knowledge of wrongdoing, new lawsuits allege her cousin helped procure party supplies for Diddy's events. Insiders claim the line between companion and accomplice blurred as Diddy's empire grew larger and darker. Then came the resurfacing of an old case from the 2000 VMAs after party, where an unnamed minor accused Diddy and another celebrity, later identified as Jay-Z, of sexual assault. The case was quietly dropped, but in light of new indictments, attorneys are reportedly revisiting it to determine whether the same network of handlers and security staff was involved. For years, these accounts were treated as isolated rumors, but once Snoop's name appeared in federal documents, investigators finally began to connect the dots.
Been afraid of coming forward. They've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so yes, it's been a dark secret they've held on to for a very, very long time.
At the heart of it all lies one haunting question. How could so many powerful figures attend the same gatherings, witness the same acts, and still claim they saw nothing? Former assistants recall nights that felt almost surreal, dimly lit corridors glowing with candlelight, filled with actors, models, and even members of royal families, as servers carried trays of sparkling drinks mixed with unmarked powders. The photographs from those nights capture nothing but smiles and luxury. Yet, according to witnesses, what unfolded once the cameras were gone was something far more sinister. The infamous freak-offs weren't impulsive or wild parties. They were choreographed spectacles, scheduled with precision, filmed, and carefully stored away. And now, those recordings are turning into evidence. Snoop's decision to cooperate has reportedly shaken the entertainment world to its core. Some of his longtime peers call him a traitor. Others see him as a man finally choosing survival over silence. Even Suge Knight, speaking from prison, accused Snoop of tarnishing Death Row's legacy, unaware that by then, Snoop had already begun confidential talks with investigators. Insiders describe months of delicate negotiations, a man caught between loyalty and self-preservation. For years, he rebuilt his image as hip-hop's wise, lovable elder, the nation's cool uncle. But now, that same charm might be the key weapon the government uses to tear down an entire culture of secrecy and control.
You to engage in all these freak-offs with him, and he sounds really pissed off.
Hey, I really don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to just give you a heads up that I'm about to really disappear on you. You feel me? I'm not going to be playing these games with you at all, at all. So I don't know. You think you silent treating me, and you think I'm gonna be nah. you'll have a rude awakening.
It's clear now why the stakes have never been higher. The sealed affidavit reportedly contains private communications between Diddy, senior executives at Bad Boy Entertainment, and several high-profile event planners tied to the infamous white parties. Those exchanges allegedly lay out a full logistics network: drivers, hotel coordinators, and substance suppliers spanning Los Angeles, Miami, and Ibiza. Federal investigators now believe it operated less like a social circle and more like an organized enterprise. If that's true, Diddy's conviction may only be the opening act, and Snoop's cooperation the spark igniting a new wave of subpoenas. But the dominoes are still falling. As news of Snoop's role spread, names once considered untouchable started surfacing in court filings and anonymous leaks. Usher's silence during Cassie Ventura's assault is under renewed scrutiny. Young Miami's name appears in a separate civil suit tied to substance distribution. Jay-Z's 2000 after-party case has resurfaced in victims' rights forums. Each revelation draws another connection, another thread leading back to those same glittering nights in the Hamptons and Los Angeles. And for the first time in decades, Hollywood seems uncertain about who it's willing to protect.
I try to, better myself every day and try to grow to be a better musician, a better person, and just be, more in control of the power.
Snoop Dogg didn't just suddenly decide to speak. He's been preparing for this moment for years. According to insiders, federal prosecutors were never after just one man. Their target was the entire system that allowed him to thrive. The question now isn't if Diddy's empire will collapse, but how many others will fall with it. If Snoop is talking, who's next? And when the indictments finally drop, will Hollywood admit what it's always known or keep protecting its own? Reports suggest the first arrest could happen within weeks, and the names expected to surface will shock the industry. Investigators have quietly expanded the RICO net, and this time it's not focused solely on Sean Diddy Combs. These laws are built for organizations that operate through silence, which means anyone who helped manage the events, hide the schedules, or ignore the warnings could now be in the crosshairs. We're no longer watching one man's downfall. We're witnessing an entire industry being questioned for enabling it. The FBI's task force isn't asking who knew, they're asking who profited, and the ripple effects are already visible. Usher, once hailed as Diddy's protege, is reportedly being questioned about why he stayed silent for so long. He didn't just witness the 2010 assault on Cassie Ventura in that restaurant. According to testimony, he stayed quiet for 14 years, even after the 2016 hotel footage became public. Legal experts say that silence alone could trigger liability under federal aiding and abetting statutes. For the first time, even celebrities who were merely in the room may face the same level of scrutiny as those who orchestrated what happened behind closed doors.
Responsible for Diddy's day-to-day life. So he is able to provide a lot of information about what that life was like. He goes into detail on extensive drug use.
And then there's young Miami, whose name keeps echoing through witness statements and lawsuit filings. The narrative forming around her is darker than anyone expected. While she hasn't been officially charged, a 2024 court filing describes a young female artist close to Diddy who allegedly helped coordinate deliveries for his private gatherings. According to insiders, those deliveries weren't champagne bottles or flower arrangements. They were controlled substances meant to keep guests subdued. It's the kind of accusation that could transform a former partner into a crucial witness. Young Miami insists she wasn't involved, yet the timing of the lawsuits paints a different picture. Jay-Z's name has also resurfaced. That long-forgotten lawsuit tied to the 2000 VMA afterparty has reappeared in federal archives, reopening questions about what truly happened that night. Though the case was quietly dismissed years ago, attorneys representing multiple plaintiffs are now seeking to revive it under expanded RICO statutes. If successful, it could be the first time prosecutors directly link Diddy's criminal conviction to a larger coordinated web of enablers, spanning the music industry, Hollywood, and major corporate sponsors. As one former promoter bluntly said, none of this was random, it was organized.
When you get to be the age that we are and you get to become as successful as we are, you have to start doing some things that matter for the future.
But perhaps the most calculated player in this entire storm is Snoop Dogg himself. For years, he remained silent, bound by an unspoken loyalty that kept the music world insulated from outside scrutiny. So why break that silence now? Sources familiar with the situation suggest Snoop's cooperation isn't driven purely by conscience. It's a move of survival. Federal investigators have reportedly offered him a form of conditional immunity protection in return for his full cooperation and a detailed breakdown of Diddy's inner circle. One insider even called it a strategic lifeline. Yet Snoop's role goes beyond aiding prosecutors. He's quietly positioning himself as the orchestrator of a reckoning, one that could redefine hip-hop's power structure for an entire generation.
That he would be all right.
Dear God, let this gangbanger beat this case.
I thought that right. Because I thought he has so much. He's one of the most famous human beings on the face of the earth.
100%.
And the thing about Snoop, I thought his heart was in the right place, but I thought theirs wasn't. Never take nothing from them.
The whispers go even deeper. According to a high-level industry contact, Snoop's deal guarantees immunity only if his testimony results in at least 3 major convictions. If that clause is real, his cooperation isn't just assistance, it's a countdown. He must deliver names or his protection disappears. That alone explains the eerie silence from Hollywood's elite. No one knows who's already been mentioned behind closed doors. The fear is palpable. Record executives and stylists and former assistants are lawyering up, while streaming giants quietly reassess their contracts with bad boy affiliated artists. The walls are closing in fast. Behind the headlines, the legal math is brutal. Diddy's 2025 conviction covered only transportation to facilitate illicit encounters, but more than 100 lawsuits still hang in the balance. Each one stretches the timeline, adds new witnesses, and tightens the web linking celebrity circles to corporate sponsors. What began with Cassie Ventura's courage has now become the unraveling of an entire entertainment hierarchy. And federal prosecutors don't need to prove that everyone was guilty of the same act, only that they were part of the machine that kept it running.
It's not that I want to become Snoop Dogg on a reggae track. I want to bury Snoop Dogg and become Snoop Lion.
And that's what makes Snoop's role so explosive. We've always known him as the cultural survivor, the man who escaped the chaos of the 90s, reinvented himself, and became the smiling face of hip-hop respectability. But according to people inside the investigation, that reinvention may have come with a cost. He's giving them the map. One source put it bluntly: he knows where the tapes are, who handled the money, and who handled the cleanup. It's not hard to see why the feds want him. He bridges both worlds, the old street empire and the new corporate elite. But we can't ignore the bigger question anymore. How did this culture of protection last so long? For decades, the music business thrived on access and loyalty, where fame excused behavior and NDAS replaced conscience. The same studios that preached empowerment were quietly funding settlements. The same award shows that celebrated Diddy's success were honoring the system that shielded him. Now those same executives are staring at their phones, waiting for subpoenas that could drop any day. And somewhere in New Jersey, Diddy sits in Fort Dix, watching the empire he built disintegrate, name by name. As we wait for the next round of indictments, one question lingers: how deep does this go? If Snoop's testimony really exposes the web behind Diddy's empire, we're not just talking about one fallen mogul. We're witnessing a reckoning that could rewrite the story of modern entertainment. The question isn't whether more names will fall. It's whether we're ready to face the truth when they do. Because when those names drop, will we be shocked or finally admit we've been looking the other way for years? Until then, we'll be watching every leak, every court date, every whisper from the inside. Stay tuned, stay alert. And remember, nothing in this story is ever as simple as it seems. What do you think? Who's next on the list? We'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay curious. Stay